Okay, so welcome to Dumb SEO Questions. Each week we answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have David Rosam. David is based in the UK. He's an SEO copywriter, 30 years experience copywriting, 10 years as an SEO copywriter. Girish Kapoor is proud to call himself an SEO. He is based in Chandigarh, India. Richard Hearn is a conversion rate optimization specialist, and he is based in both Thailand and Ireland. And you can find Richard at redcardinal.ie. Sash Meyer is currently in Cyprus, generally wandering somewhere around the Americas. He's a Google top contributor on the Google Webmaster Forum, and he is a gun for hire. He lectures developers on doing things the right way. Tim Capper, well-known confidant of Vladimir Putin, is also a conversion rate optimization specialist and world's greatest SEO, according to his website. You'll find that at onlineownership.com. Okay, so each week we answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community. And the first question is one that we looked at last week, and Tim Capper suggested that we have another look at it for Anna Clark. I don't know why Tim showed an interest, but anyway, this time we have a URL, Tim, and so we can have a look at it. Anna Clark said, after recently going through a rebrand, our company is now back on the first pages on Google for keywords like embedded software and embedded software development. I have double-checked this using incognito. We know that people searching for our keyword can see us, yet we still aren't getting the traffic that we want. Most of our traffic is for recruitment, and only a small proportion is from potential customers, by which I mean chief technical officers and tech directors, I should say, looking for a company to work on embedded software for their project. As well as this, those that do visit our site aren't contacting us. The URL is www.bluefruit.co.uk, and you should be able to see what our page titles and metas look like in Google. Does anyone have any suggestions on why this may be? Oh, David Rosam. Yeah, David, you may have to refresh your panelist report if you're not seeing that question as number one.
Is no one jump in? No?
Yes, please. Anybody jump in. Save me.
A couple of things I've looked. I opened up google.co.uk and I had a quick look to see, and they do rank for embedded software development. I see them at number 3, which is decent enough. There's a Wikipedia page first, and then there's a Stack Exchange, and then there's them. I didn't try embedded software. Don't see them for that. So they are getting some traffic for keywords, but they say that they're not getting the right type of traffic. That may be because they're looking for the wrong keywords, I would presume. That's the only thing I can think of.
So, I mean, looking at the title tag, it's fairly minimalist. It doesn't really, I mean, okay, embedded software development specialists, but that doesn't really get the teeth into what I'd call they're rather generic. They're not targeting money terms here. Let me check another couple of pages. Hold on.
It may also be that there's volume on embedded software. That may be what people are looking for, the shorter tail, as opposed to embedded software development. But it's hard to say. I'd imagine it's a keyword issue. They're targeting the wrong keywords here.
I would guess so. I mean, looking at the projects page, that's more targeting the embedded software term itself.
Okay. Both Colin Davis and Federico Sasso agree with you guys with comments on the SEO Questions community.
The other thing I'd say is that in terms of the conversion from their website, they may want to see what's happening if people are getting to their homepage, are people bouncing away, or are they going to other pages? The homepage, to me, it's sort of, I don't know what the messages I get from that. There's sort of conflicting stuff, like the blue fruit in the font. It doesn't strike me as something that's to do with software development when I go to it for whatever reason. And okay, there's a CTA, find out more. I'm just waiting to see where that brings me. And that brings me to about, established in 2000. Well, find out more. I want to find out something that's going to be good for me. I'm not really interested in who you are. I'm interested in what you can do for me.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
That's the first thing I would look at. Like there's one CTA above the fold, and it takes me to an about page, which, like I say, tells me about your company, but you need to tell me what you can do. How can you make my life easier? That's really what you need to do there. There doesn't seem like a clear conversion path here.
No, I was just going to say the calls to action are muddled and hidden at best. There's
even find out more goes to projects, and for me the projects page is actually broken, the layout. Like see view solutions.
Yeah, I'll say it's all over the place in Firefox. It's not lining up properly. Stuff's overlapping, and that's not a good start for if you can't get your website to line up, what are you going to do to the software?
Yeah, but they need to definitely, I think, look at their website and ask, like, what's in it for the visitor.
Yeah,
it's a very common thing where people build a website and they have to tell you everything about themselves, but actually no one cares about you. They only care about what's in it for me. I mean, even the contact form, it's a bit broken. It looks like it's a responsive design, but it's done badly. You're looking for time scale, express service required. Just give me my name, my email, and a contact form. Maybe also they should put their phone number and stuff like that up in the header. Make it as easy as possible for people to get in touch with you. And get a logo done.
Like I said, the calls to action are pretty poor. Let me just check this thing on a phone to see what it looks like.
What's it like in the phone?
Just checking.
We're all here now digging out our phones. It's a bit sad, really, isn't it?
Wow.
Here we are. Like, how many screens has everyone got in front of them? What are they called again? Bluefruit.co.uk. And also, there's another thing. What's with the name?
Yeah.
I mean, you're expecting a design agency or something.
Yeah, it's obviously gone for the branding aspect. Actually, on the Nexus, it looks pretty good. Yeah. It's performing a whole lot better on the phone than it is on Firefox.
Maybe they went mobile first. But even that, I mean, I still think though that logo, Blue Fruit, enabling technology via embedded software. I don't know why. I just think they're like designers, developers, or something. But we use cookies, okay. Yeah, it does look quite nice on the phone. the messaging.
My problem with this is that they don't seem to know what they do. You know, they do embedded software, which indeed enables technology. Well, yes. Is that broad enough for you? If you look at the page on my big screen, it's something to do with lab water. Is that all they do? You know, it's both too broad and too narrow. You know, what do they actually do? Is this anything to do with me now? I've turned up at this page. You know, they've got a can-do approach, but yes, okay, so a lot of others. And embedded software is purpose-built technology designed to carry out specific tasks with optimum efficiency. Well, if I was in the market for buying some embedded software, I would know that. It's just one of my pet hates in copy.
It kind of reads like somebody's got the buzzword dictionary out.
Yeah. It's not good enough copy-wise. They need to take a step back and actually think about who they're selling to and what it is they're selling, because it's embedded software. It's not, to me, it's not specific enough.
I'm going to make another suggestion. They should look at all their copy and they should remove every instance of we and replace it with you. Yeah, because we don't care that you're Bluefruit software. We don't care that you recently worked with Elga. We only care what's in it for me. So I'd say they probably spent an arm and a leg to get this new site done, by the way. But they just don't have the content.
It looks like it. See, I mean, the whole thing with Elga Lab Water, that has its place. It just doesn't have its place there, I don't think. You know, because if you're gonna make a point of who you work with and put in case studies and whatever, that's cool, but put it in the right place on the site. You know?
Yeah. They just need someone to help them with their
version optimization. But there's a couple of people here.
Anyway.
Yeah, you see, I don't think they've got as far as worrying about conversion optimization. I think they've got to think very, very basically about what their business is about, and actually tell the world what it is and why they're brilliant. And from then on, getting some people to the site who can actually understand what they're about, they can then start worrying about conversion optimization. But at the moment, I think the failings are on a marketing level, not a website level almost.
But that all surely just ties in. It has to be one coherent whole. You know, you can't go, okay, let's work on the content and then we'll bend whatever else around it later. It's got to be done all at once. You know?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They've got to know what they're saying rather than just waffle on about we and us.
Okay. Well, I think that's a very good
and proper.
Yeah. Anna Clark, the bill will be in the mail. Okay. All right. This one is from Still Wild. Recommendations for key metrics. Still Wild would love to hear everyone's recommendations for key metrics. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I couldn't reach the mic in time. Key metrics in regards to identifying and analyzing organic traffic in Google Analytics.
Any?
It's a little bit of
identifying organic traffic. What are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm going to need a little bit more information before I can give a coherent answer to that one, because it's like, here it is, it's organic. I mean, what do you want to know about it? I'm assuming you want to know something specific, because identifying which ones are organic is easy enough. Yeah, now where are you going with it? You know?
Yeah, I suppose the two trends that you'd probably want to look at are things like just the trend growth, like is it growing or is it falling? And the other one I would probably be looking at would be conversion, to see is the traffic converting. That will give you some idea of whether you're maybe targeting the wrong keywords or not.
This is it. And I mean, landing pages and paths from there. I mean, if you're tracking and you're analyzing the landing page and the path, you can kind of extrapolate a rough set of keywords around that. But meanwhile, it's like I said, it's a very general question. And all we can do is really guess.
There's a lot you can do. Yeah, there's a lot you can do, and it's not clear what you want to do. So I don't think we can really answer this one, Jim, to be dead honest.
Yep, fair enough. All right. Look, I think we'll call that an answer, and let's look at number 3 on your run list.
If they want to specify more, then maybe next week. I don't know, but for the moment, I think that's about as good as it gets.
Okay. Yeah. Here's one from Catherine Cunningham. It's titled, "Why Publish a Blog on Google?" Catherine said, "I've gathered that it's not a good idea to publish a blog from my website on LinkedIn, as Google doesn't like repeated content. But I don't understand why it is recommended to publish the blog on Google+. Surely that is still repeated information."
Who's recommending that you're publishing it on Google+? That sounds like SEO down the pub.
And I think we've got two kind of different three different scenarios. So you take an article and it goes live on your blog. So then what you're saying is taking that exact same copy and putting it onto a LinkedIn article. Okay, so you're not just sharing it via LinkedIn, you're actually taking the entire copy. So that is not necessarily going to cause a problem, but what it will do is Google will see two versions of the exact same thing. Now, Google's got to decide, well, which one am I going to show? Because it's exact same copy. So something's going to be filtered somewhere. So that is why you shouldn't take exact same copy and chuck it on somewhere else. You've got to think about, well, from Google's point of view, two exact same things here, what's the point in me showing it? So, I would obviously publish it on your blog, because the point is your blog, I'm assuming, is attached to your money site. Now, that is where you want people to come and read it, because ideally they want to move through to your site and engage with your site, I'm assuming. If you wanted to publish something on LinkedIn articles, go for it, but I wouldn't go and then take the copy and chuck it onto your blog. Also the same with Google+. You're not going to take an entire article and post it into Google+, are you? You would normally take a couple of snippets and then obviously link the article. So I think you kind of got three different things a little bit confused there. But my take is always publish it on your site, because that's where you want people to come to. That's your money site. Fair enough. Market it to LinkedIn, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to go. But if you're going to, I wouldn't duplicate, for example, your article onto LinkedIn. I would maybe reword it, do a different kind of intro, and then say, for additional insights, just check out my article here. That's that's my feelings on it.
See, it's all about level of information. You want, as Tim just said, you want people to actually come to your site. If you're reposting, you're already not giving, quite aside from the Google implications, you're already not giving them a reason for doing so. What I normally do is I write one, and what I do myself and recommend for the customers as well, is that the in-depth piece goes on the blog or on the site or wherever, and then summary and or teaser is put out to the social media side of things. I mean, you can turn around if you just write it on your blog. You know, you can cook the best burgers in the world, but unless you let people know, you know, where those burgers are, they're still going to go to McDonald's. So you're going to have to. There has to be an effort involved in pushing it out and getting it to the audience, and whether that is Google Plus or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. But it just has to be, yeah, a teaser, a taster, you know.
Yeah, no, I've never had a blog, but I must say I like posting on Google Plus. Not that I ever actually have. I generally just reshare everybody else's. All right, let's call this an answer. Catherine Cunningham, I hope that you are happy with that. Next on our agenda is from Gregory Christan, who asks, what do you think of Google's new mobile search results? Do you like how they show if the website is mobile friendly, I think it says, rather than mobile ready, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Greg, I think you meant to say mobile friendly. I think, but well, if I ever get a site that qualifies, I'll be glad to see it anyway.
I love the way I can hear the tumbleweed roll through the discussion after questions have been asked. I think there's more to it than that, and just going, you know, what do you think, and what does it look like? You have to realize that it is the start of a complete divergence in results. You know, it's no longer as simple as just ranking. You know, what are you ranking for, and what device are you ranking on? Because everything is starting to split off. You know, and the ranking factors are going to enter into it. So just going, you know, what do you think of Google now saying this site is mobile friendly, and this one isn't? That's just kind of blowing dust across the surface without actually getting into it, from what I can see.
I think there might be divergence now, but it'll probably converge back in later on as well, because what they're trying to push people towards, I suppose, is building for everyone, and not sort of viewing things as just been a desktop world. Jim, I just looked, dumbseoquestions.com, mobile friendly, 1 day ago. Yeah. You have mobile friendly there. It is, it's there, believe it or not.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Actually, I should be thanking Andy Wigglesworth for that, the world's greatest web architect, purveyor to Tim Capper, as far as I'm aware, by appointment.
But definitely this mobile friendly thing, I think there's gonna be more of this. You know, there's gonna be much more where they're going to be looking at the experience for the majority or for large segments of their users, and we're going to see more and more things like this for sure.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you're looking at the mobile trends and the massive variety of devices and capabilities, it cannot help but, you know, go that way. I mean, the desktop search volume is stalling or falling, whereas the mobile share, be it tablet or whatever phone, is just skyrocketing. You know, and really, I mean, this was explained to me at I/O, actually, funnily enough, when they were saying, look, you know, if you're sitting, you're sitting on the sofa and something's on TV and you're looking it up, you're not going to go to the computer. You're going to use your tablet, your phone, your whatever, you know. And that made perfect sense. I mean, you know, it does. You're going to use whatever device is to hand, you're not going to go and go to a specific one.
Yeah. All right, let's call that a wrap, and let's go to the next question if I can find the right button to click. This is a question from. Oh, don't you hate it? There we are. Neboja Djukic has a problem with scrapers. He says content for my pages is copied and now appears on many different websites. Pieces of my content are in YouTube video descriptions, Pinterest, on many strange and spammy websites. Should I rewrite all of my articles that appear on other websites? Does Google know that these articles belong to my site, or all my copied articles are now duplicate content?
It'd be great if he had given us some examples. It would have been nice to see. He does mention that that YouTube and Pinterest are now outranking him for his own content. I'd love to see that, but I think your comment, Jim, DMCA is probably the way to go, especially with those bigger sites. Whether they'll actually take it down is another thing, but this must be very annoying.
Yeah, my comment wasn't. My comment was actually advising against using the DMCA process. I offered him that link. I can't remember who offered it. I think it was our good friend PFR, maybe. But it's a link that if you're beset by scrapers, you can tell them.
Yeah, but that would only be a feedback thing where they're collecting feedback. They're not going to action that on a site-by-site basis. That's just something where they collect all that, they give it to the engineers, and they say, right, if it's enough of an issue, let's go and fix it. But they're not going to fix it site-by-site.
No,
really?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No, absolutely not. No, that's all those, any form they give for that type of thing, it's always they're just trying to collect feedback. And they're looking for a large amount of feedback that they can then go and analyze and say, look, here's what the problem is. Let's get the engineers to fix it. But they're not looking for go, oh, look, his site is getting outranked. Let's fix that for him.
No. It's a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. But I mean, the other thing I would totally recommend against, I mean, if you're already having a problem with scrapers, the last thing you want to do is rework all your content only to then have it scraped again. Yeah. You can forget that straight away, you know. So I guess, I mean, ultimately, yeah, the best and most viable route is the DMCA, although what results you're going to get from it, I don't know. I mean, really, you've got to see it's first to the post, and it's still the problem with the scraper sites of who gets indexed first. You know, if Google only comes along every 3, 4, 5 days and looks at your updated content, and these huge scraper sites and whatnot get indexed every 5 minutes, chances are you're not actually going to be seen as the originator of the content because it was found elsewhere first, and that really is a problem.
Okay, look, we interrupt this broadcast. The European Parliament just voted to break up Google, according to Business Insider. The EU just passed an historic vote. What do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, it says,
yeah, assholes have put too much pressure on the European Parliament.
But they've no enforcement power. It would have to be done. What they can do then is they can force the Commission to go and look at it. So the Parliament doesn't have the power to do anything here.
No.
But the fact that they just voted means that obviously there's a lot of people who are looking at this and probably want to do something about it.
It's basically I've been kind of following this one, and it's the German media moguls for the most part. They're much like the RIAA over in the States. You know, they're the publishers in Germany, and they're trying to protect an outdated business model, and they're bringing the European equivalent of lobbying pressure to bear.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that could make an
part
argument. I'd say that a lot of people could make valid arguments that Google has brought at least some of this on themselves. You know, they may say, "Oh, we do these great things for all our users and everything else," but really, they do all these great things to make money. They're a corporation; that's what they have to do.
Well, of course, they're a corporation. I mean,
no, but compared to what they were 5 or 10 years ago, 5 years ago, where you know they wanted to do interesting things that they thought could do good, they've turned now. They just want to make money. I mean, that's the way they've been run now. They've been run to make money.
Well, see, as a corporation, of course, I mean, as far as it goes, you've got to keep the pennies rolling in. You've got to, you know, shareholder value and all that. But really, as far as it goes, what's happening with that money? Certainly not going on taxes. I'll give you that. But you know.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm not knocking them for making money or for creating good products, but at the same time that you can see that some of the things they're doing, there's certainly a lot more things they do these days that you would look at and go, that's not really cool. Whereas years ago, you would probably look at most things they did and said, well, that's pretty cool. They've done that to better someone or to better something. But nowadays, more of the stuff I see them doing, I see their motivation been purely to see if they can sort of, increase their bottom line. That seems to be the most important thing to them now, as a corporation. I think their culture has changed a lot in the last few years.
The culture has changed. I'm not sure about that. It has changed. It has evolved. I'll give you that. But I don't think it's as fundamental as, you know, many people think.
Listen, you know, there's lots of great people who work there. There's lots of nice people who work there and helpful people who work there. But as an entity and as a corporation, there's not a huge amount it does that I would admire. Whereas before, I think there would have been more. But that's just me personally. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
No, I mean not really. But as far as it goes, the Europeans are under far more, shall we say, commercial pressure than they would care to admit, because they're obviously always so keen superior to the Americans in that respect.
Well, could it also be said that maybe Google is much better at lobbying in the US than they are in Europe? How much money do they spend on lobbying in the US? Quite a lot, I guess.
Big time.
Google is the highest contributor to 183 legislators in the US. 183, the top contributor.
They tried it the other way around, and at the end of the day, now we know where some of that money goes. But at the end of the day, the attitude seems to have been, if you can't beat them, join them.
Wow. Moral high ground, how are you?
The main lobby is trying to get a permanent. I was reading the other day. The main lobby focus at the minute is trying to get a permanent reduction in the what do you call it? Reset. God, when you shift money, all their money is sitting out in Bahamas.
Oh, repatriation
funds. At the minute, it's sitting at something like 30%, and they don't want to wait every 5 years for a repatriation holiday where they can bring it in at 5%. Their main funds at the minute is lobbying to have it set at a decent rate forever. Because I think they've got something ridiculous like 90 billion sitting in the Bahamas that they can't, or in Bermuda that they can't touch, or they don't want to bring over at 32%.
Practically enough for a space program.
Yeah, I know. But you just think about it. If you brought over that amount at 32%, paid your fair share, you're contributing to the economy. You're contributing to the rest of the wider society in the States. I mean, not here in the UK, but yeah, do you know what I mean? Pay your dues.
It's funny when you read the article and you see also what they're concentrating. The four areas are the way Google displays its search services compared to its competitors, how Google uses content from other sites, Google's dominance over advertising on search terms, restrictions that surround how advertisers can move their campaigns to other search engines. The only one that's probably unreasonable is Google's dominance over advertising. They've got there because they've worked to get there. But the other three, I mean, how Google uses content from other websites, I'll never forget that. Hi, Matt, I found one. Here's a scraper. That remember the one that someone sent? You know, the Wikipedia description of scraper in the knowledge box.
I do. Yeah, I remember that, Richard.
Yeah,
anyway,
that was a classic.
Shouldn't laugh, really.
But fair play to them in terms of the ads, you know.
Yeah.
It's their search results. You know, for sure, you can't knock them for that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I like the fact that they're scraping content and showing it in their search results, though. I think that's sort of crossing the line. Like this idea of, you know, when people go to the trouble of building content that's useful and then Google go and scrape it and actually put it up in their knowledge area where, you know, where you don't actually have to visit the site anymore, you know, or there's no link to the site unless it's a Google site. There's a lot of weird and wonderful things they're doing to try and keep people on their property, and you know, they don't have the content to support that. If they want to build properties and keep people there, they should have their own content. It's you know, rather than scrape other people's. But anyway.
Next question, Jim.
Where's our MC?
Excuse me a second.
Have we lost him?
I'm not sure. I'll read out the next one. It's, hi, can anyone recommend a great software for ranking your videos on YouTube, Google? Thanks. Who's got the bad news?
I'm just wondering as well what he means there. Does he want a piece of software to go and actually do everything to get his content ranked, or does he want a piece of software to help get his content indexed? Sometimes people will mix up the two, but I mean, for indexing and to get your own videos into SERPs, there's certainly quite a few plugins that can help with sites like WordPress. Yoast Video plugin works to some extent, although I think Google changed some of how they're handling video. But you know, XML sitemap. But if it's automated to get it to rank, there is none, or none that you can rely on.
Short, sweet.
Okay, sorry about that. I had just having a major storm here at the moment. Okay.
Question 7, Jim.
Okay, thank you. It's from Athanasis Giannis on Google Webmaster Tools, keywords, impressions, queries, and clicks. Athanasius asks, hi everyone. In Google Webmaster Tools, under search queries, after fine-tuning my site, I experienced a significant increase in keyword and overall impressions, but queries have not increased appropriately, and clicks have decreased substantially. Why? Maybe only impressions on the first page really count and all the rest are irrelevant? Thank you.
I think that the prime problem here is that he is attributing causation to changes he made, and it could well be that the changes he made actually didn't cause what he's seeing happen. The big question would be something like, when did this happen? Especially when he's saying that what his clicks have decreased substantially. If his rank and his keywords have increased, But he didn't say his rank, so he said his impressions. Yeah, well, if he's ranking on page 2, he's probably not going to get very many clicks for it. So he may be ranking lowly for more keywords, but probably not going to get very much attention on those. But he does say that his impressions increased, I think. But definitely, if you're not on page 1, you're not going to get much traffic. But also be careful that you haven't been affected by something else, like an algorithm that maybe looks at your site and for whatever reason doesn't like it, and that's maybe also why your clicks have decreased. Maybe you've fallen off page 1 and fallen onto page 2 or 3 for some big keywords. Without being able to look at this, it's very, very difficult to answer.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Anybody else?
Hang on, it's a key how many times. Just looking at the comments to see what he said about his site. We've made changes in most of the panel is in green. He said queries have not increased appropriately. So if queries haven't increased, I'm not sure how he's saying impressions have. And clicks have decreased substantially. Well, that may be that he's changed his meta descriptions and made them less attractive to click on. That'd be my guess. Either that or his rankings have dropped. He needs to say whether his rankings have increased or dropped. That was actually the last question that was asked him in the community, and he didn't answer. So.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next. It's from it's question 8 on your run list. Corey Zach on best practice for multiple articles online. And Corey said, what is the best practice for someone who has previously written multiple articles that are online in different formats and in different websites and journals as PDFs, etc., and now has a new website and wants all of that content on the new website? Make all outbound links or duplicate partially as a snippet in blog posts with read more off-site. I see what he means there. And Google Docs for PDFs.
You know, the first question I'd ask is, does he own the content that's published on other sites? Does he have copyright over it? And if he does, he could always get it removed from whatever sites they're on, or ask them to at least link back to his site, and then he could just start writing new content on his own. If he got links back to his own site from sites that his content is published on, if they're decent sites, it could be really helpful, and then he could just start writing new content on his own site, and he'd get a leg up. Either that, or if he owns the content, go and ask them to take it down.
See that the content removal approach in this case, depending on what the content is and where it lives, sounds like an attempt at herding cats. It really sounds like it could be far more headache than it's worth. I think the trying to get them to link to you and writing your own fresh. I mean, you've already said you've written content. Go produce some more. Get the revenue as links. That sounds like a far more workable and easier approach.
It's like you say, though. It depends where it's published. I mean, it could be published on quality sites where he was the writer, but it didn't actually acknowledge him, or it didn't link to his site. He could leave the content there and just say, right, well, I'm starting my own new site. I'd just like you to add in, link my name to my new site so that I'm getting credit for my own work. So yeah, it really depends on the context and where the content is.
I mean, and also, like you said, it's the copyright aspect is there as well. I mean, back in the early days, I mean, I started as a technical writer. I produced plenty of work that I didn't end up, owning the copyright to. It's just one of those things. That is obviously a major consideration.
Yeah, if you wrote a load of articles and it was on article websites, forget about it. You don't want links from them anyway, so. it really depends on what he wrote. It's a shame that sometimes people, they just need to give a little bit more information in their questions that would help to get better answers, I think.
Yeah, but you must remember that from the forum. You know, it's like, why is my site not ranking at the top? Yes, you know, it's the general question is just a given in this milieu.
No, if I may take it in a slightly different direction. There's obviously the copyright issues and whether you can get some nice links back from important quality sites. I think that the way I read this question is that he's asking about how to get some mileage out of this content on his site in terms of content. And I think the thing is that aside from copyright issues, he shouldn't be just republishing them because of the duplicate content problems. So I think I'd be inclined to at least rewrite some of this stuff. You know, if it's been around for a while, you know, supposing it's a year or two old, it should be pretty easy to update it and add some extra value to it. You know, if the basic pitch he's writing was good enough for you know, for these quality sites we're assuming about, then I think I'd be inclined to update them and go down the easy way of getting some good content on a new site route.
Again, it largely depends on the content itself, which we don't really know.
No, but as I say, the thing is, what can we make of a general question? And I think that's part of what's hiding behind this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to question 9 from Cheru Rastogi, who asks, is this duplicate content? He said, when we share any article or any other URL on social media sites, most of the sites show some content, and on a click for more, land on the target URL. But a few sites show the whole content on their page. In that case, will it be considered as duplicate content? I just point out in the chat, like in the comments, I should say, on the SEO Questions community on Google+, Charu was he was talking about the full page being published on StumbleUpon, and it was explained that it's shared inside an iframe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's misspelled a hashtag. Just at the gate there. Well, yes, it's duplicate content. You know, if it's served in an iframe, that's one thing, but it's still less than ideal. Far less than ideal.
Does that stumble upon URL? Did you say it's broken? It's missed a hash or something? Is it?
The hashtag there under the post. I just noticed that it's social media marketing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it's different everywhere. You know. But he mentioned this this StumbleUpon URL is just a framed copy of his website. There's no problem with that. So that's just a misunderstanding of what's happening there. He doesn't realize that that's just a frame around his site. It's not. They're not publishing his content at all. I don't. I think he's worrying about something he probably doesn't need to worry about.
No, like I said, I mean, as far as it goes, if the iframe mitigates it, but still not ideal.
No, but they're showing his site inside the iframe sash.
It's his frame, yeah, it's his site. There's no problem with that. That's not going to cause him any. There's no duplicate content there. It's his site. Are we missing something?
Okay, moving right along. This one is from Tessa Benecki. I must say, since Tim Capper joined the panel, we've had a lot more ladies join us, and I think that's a good thing.
Wait until they notice that I've joined.
I will say the news hasn't spread yet, Sash. I'm expecting a land rush. Okay. Incorrect URLs direct back to the homepage. Tessa said, need some help. A website I recently took over is set up so that all incorrect URLs direct back to the homepage. I do not know how this was set up to do this. I do not see anything in the htaccess file. Any ideas? I want to stop this for SEO reasons. I might add, can I just throw in one for me that's exactly on this topic? One of our clients engaged a developer, and the developer's solution was for any 404 on the site, the 404 page had a meta refresh header of 0 seconds, which redirected to the home page. So the 404 page came up with a 404 response, but then a meta refresh which immediately took it to the home page. And that situation is similar to what Tessa's encountering. What are your thoughts, guys?
I would say an approach like that, where you're serving a 404 on a meta refresh, and any kind of meta refresh will pretty much send entirely the wrong signals to Google to start with. So that to me is not an ideal state of play.
But they probably ignore it though, all the same. They probably just
well,
look
I mean,
at there's a 404.
If it's just that, but it's just, you know, it can get stuff flagged up and in front of the wrong eyes, shall we say, you know.
Yeah. No, it'd be better to fix it, but I don't think it'd be something that you would necessarily...
Oh, in and of itself,
you wouldn't lose sleep over it, I don't think. But yes, it would be better to fix. But the person who's asked that, they should just get a developer or you know, pay someone, you know, just for 5 minutes work to fix it. It's probably a trivial thing to fix.
I would have thought so.
Okay.
They didn't come back to say whether they tried the Fetch's Google bot tool. No. They would have been able to see the code to see if it was a meta refresh.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Archie, what commented on this in the community and said something similar to you guys. All right. Here's one from Tim Capper. Tim Capper has a schema question. He said, I have a photographic studio that I want to mark up. Address is not a problem, but what am I marking this up as? Schema what?
Schema business.
No. The business. Obviously, the business itself, that is marked up as local business. But what they also provide is different properties. They've got different landing pages. They've got different properties. So they've got apartments, houses, photographic studios, commercial and industrial properties, and within all of them are the actual property itself. You know, each individual property page has an address, etc. But they are, you know, they're available to hire as locations for photo shoots, etc., etc., etc. So the business is marked up, but how would you mark these up?
Branch, like I said, branch. I think it'd be a good way to do it. Branch is like a sub branch of a business. It's probably the closest thing you'll get, unless there's an actual schema for each of those entities, which I don't think there will be.
Yeah, there's stuff for real estate, but you're not selling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but real estate can do rental as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like I mentioned, a lot of them. The problem is that you're not going to get much value out of them because they're not going to be recognized. Google doesn't support most of them.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I
they
might
may do
just
in the
stick with,
future, but
I might
I
just
don't know.
stick with marking up the locality in the address sections, and leave the overall actual schema itself. You know, just mark up the look.
I'd still be inclined to consider branch because if they're owned by this company, branch would probably be quite a good approximation to what they are. But up to you. And there's always new schemas been added all the time, so go back and have a look through. But like I say, like they may be added all the time, but it doesn't mean they're supported in any way.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with that response, Mr. Kappa?
I am satisfied. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Richard.
It's a pity that Alistair isn't here. He might have had some other ideas. He's quite big in his scheme as well, I think so.
Welcome, William Rock. Okay, here's a question from Christian Sepulveda in, I think, Brazil. No? Or maybe Sao Paulo, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, on publishing to brand pages, he wants to know if there's a Joomla extension to auto-publish I don't know what K2 means, or other Joomla content directly onto Google+. It was later established in the chat that this was to a brand page. As we know, nobody can publish to a Google+ profile.
For myself, Joomla is second only to Drupal as far as my pet hatreds are concerned for CMS, so I'm out of this one.
I think that one of the biggest things and the hurdles is going to end up being is the API. Writability, I mean, you can get the API to collect downwards, but posting from the API is a paid service that has to have additional security protocols installed and is not accessible easily to the public.
Yep. Well, Christian, I hope that you're happy with that response. Let's move on to the next. This is from John Pitcher, who's asked a number of questions of us over the last few weeks, and very good questions too. John asks, should we 301 redirect an older site to our main site? He said, our main site is a local web design company. We have also had a smaller vintage web design site for about 6 years, which we are now deleting. The vintage web design site is PR0 with little traffic and just a few backlinks. The business address and phone number is the same as our main site. Should we 301 redirect the vintage web design site to our main web design site, or is this now against Google's code of practice or frowned upon?
I say yes. As in yes, redirect.
No, don't bother. Just kidding. Yeah, no, redirected. I mean, there's also the term vintage web design site conjures up some images, but no, there's no.
Do you think we'll then get the mobile ready? The little mobile ready? Sorry.
I think there's always one question I have when there's 301 redirects involved from other sites to another site, is what is behind that other wall of the domain? What kind of other nuisances could it cause once I 301 it over, and all those bad backlinks or anything that was damaging at the time could come back to that new site? Depends on how bad it is.
They've already turned around and said, you know, it's got a few visitors and only a handful of backlinks, so it doesn't look as though there's a huge old link building campaign that's going to come and bite them in the ass or something.
So you're dead right.
Case,
you're dead right.
Just talking. Oh no, totally, absolutely. If
that's the sad thing. That's the sad thing that you have to worry about that type of shit, because really you shouldn't, you know. But it's the truth of the matter is that you do have to worry about that. But I really think that you shouldn't have to worry about that. But I mean, a few years ago, I don't think anyone would have even thought about this. They would have just said, "Oh yeah, definitely redirect." There wouldn't have been any conversation here, and that's a sad thing, I think.
Well, see, there's multiple ways of looking at this, because really, as far as it goes, as they say, karma can be a bitch at times. And if you turn around, and it's the, I don't know, I guess the churn and burn, you know, naughty brigade, whatever you want to call them, that has brought this down.
I'd say also,
you know,
though,
now your penalty follows you via the 301. You're right, though. A few years ago, nobody would have thought twice.
But I suspect nowadays, even if you haven't been up to anything nefarious, that it's far more dangerous to redirect stuff than it was a few years ago. I think there's a lot more risk now that you will trip something up by redirecting, and that's to me a shame. But anyway, that's just my view.
It pays to have an eye on things. There's no question about that. I mean, really, it's over the last, say, year or so, I've noticed that I'm being called on increasingly to do preventative link audits. You know, we haven't been caught yet, but we don't want to be, kind of thing. Now, the companies in question tend to be universally aware of the fact that they were up to no good 4, 5, 6 years until Penguin rolled out, you know, and now they're worried about manual actions being doled out and what have you. So they tend to be what I would term as guilty parties. Okay, I've not yet really had any innocent parties approach me and say, please, you know, help us fix our links. Is this the moment when we start talking about negative SEO?
No.
So really, as far as I've lost my thread now.
I think to say also just to this guy who asked the question, I think John Pitcher, I think was his name, that if he wants to come back into the question and he wants to post his URL there, or the URL to the old site, that I'm sure that one of us would have a quick look and just say, you know, just give a quick thought on whether there's anything he would need to be worried about. There probably isn't, but if he has any concern, if he wants to post his URL there or send it to somebody, I'm sure one of us could look very quickly. It's just a handful of links.
Yeah, I mean, if it is like that, it should be, you know, 30 seconds. And I think, excuse me a second, I have a doorbell.
Whoa. Okay, Well, John Pitcher, I hope that's the answer that you're looking for. Here's a question from Dave Elliott. Dave does a tremendous job on our SEO community on Google Plus, answering questions on a daily basis. It's a Google Analytics content grouping question. He said, Google, I have just been having a read through these settings and have a couple of questions. He said, I need to have two main categories for my pages, Wibble and etc. These categories can then form part of four other categories, A, C, D, and E. I'm not going to read all the rest. You can see it on the SEO Questions community on Google+. But he finishes with the URLs are fairly inconsistent. What is the best method of setting up the content groupings? Can I do it via the tracking code method, or will I have to do it via a rule definition and define every page manually? In fact, can I define a single page to more than just one content group? He said, hopefully this will make sense. And I can tell I'm going to have so much fun setting this up.
He's used his sarcasm markup incorrectly. It invalidates the whole thing.
True.
Sorry, actually, I was away for half the question. I didn't really catch it, so I can't render an opinion.
I think I might have a partial opinion, but not a complete to that answer. It was a very long. There's a lot of questions in that one, but theming is just like siloing. I mean, if you're writing about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then you talk about a grilled cheese sandwich, they don't both mix unless you're in that kind of a flavor. But there's ways to separate that in your content, right? And then you're just looking through your analytics under one profile to see those segmentations. And if you do that in subdomains, then you just do an additional profile inside your analytics to collect that data.
I've read through that again. I think actually that just answering the question he asked, should he do it through the tracking code or via rules? I do it via the tracking code if his CMS is able to output what he uses. These categories. He says these categories and then form four other categories. If he can output what those four categories are on his page, he should do it via the tracking code. It's much easier, much easier, I'm sure. Or he could look at Google Tag Manager. Actually, would be maybe even better for something like this.
Yeah, and those were the answers given in the community by Alistair Lattimore, Micah Fisher-Kirshner, and of course also an answer from Stefan Hamel, who was on our SEO Questions 100th episode. And it seems from the answers that the consensus was tracking code. Okay, all right, let's look at our next one, and this is from Swatil Badonia. And Swati said, is my Google Analytics filter working? He said, I'm using the filter option in Google Analytics. I've filtered my IP in Analytics, but now I want to know if the filter is working properly or not. How can we identify that? I just draw your attention, guys, to the screen there. I gave an answer on the community, and somebody, Yogesh Bodki, who's obviously a very good judge, said, well explained, Jim Hunter. All right, let's move on to the next. Another one from, oh no, now we're into our analytics section, I think. What custom dashboards do people use and find insanely useful? And he gives a list. He said, I use the following fairly regularly. Probably best to look at our Google Analytics community to Richard Hearn hopes this doesn't turn into dumb Google Analytics questions. I think Google Analytics, I mean, it was said earlier this week that Google Analytics is not SEO, but I think it's an integral function, an integral part of it. Or do you disagree?
No, there's data analysts for that now. It's a great role. It's great to have a team of data analysts around. They're very useful to have. You don't need to know anything about Google Analytics anymore. It's great.
I would probably say and suggest a way, I don't use dashboards as much anymore, and I'm in that tool all day, every day. I would probably suggest playing around with the templates, or sorry, the shortcuts on your side. So when you find the actual useful information that you're looking for, just add it to your shortcuts and add a custom name to that shortcut. So it's just right up on your left-hand panel versus having to go into your dashboards. There's some good dashboards in there, but I think that it's easier to find and dig deeper into your shortcuts, like your landing page bounce rates, or your query report, or your landing page report. So being able to shortcut it, I think, makes it a lot easier than dashboards.
Okay, I imagine Richard Hearn would like me to call this a wrap. Okay, next is a question from Richard Hearn. Well, not a question. Richard came across a great how-to guide for assessing panda penalties using Google Analytics. So who better to speak on this but Richard, I guess?
Yeah, it was a very nice guide on how to segment your traffic by traffic type: mobile, desktop, tablet, and then to use that to see which landing pages may have dropped off to analyze if you may have been hit by Panda. So quite a simple guide that anyone could actually follow. And if you were worried that you may have been hit by Panda, I think a good guide to use. And you may have to go to a different site to get some of the Panda dates. I suspect that the writer of that guide might be writing some of this in order to sell his services somewhat, because this is what he does. But certainly a guide worth reading if you're interested in Panda or worried about it.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you for taking the trouble to post that for me too, Richard. Appreciate it. All right, so now we have our SEO tools segment, which we introduced a couple of weeks ago. And this week there were no SEO tools posted in the SEO tools community. And so I went and grabbed 3 links to page speed items. I figured that was a fairly basic SEO function. One was web page test. The other was the page speed module from Google, and then also the third one was GT Metrics.
GT Metrics is a nice tool. I've used that for quite a while, and it's good. It's much better if you actually sign up for a free account, because then you can select where your server is coming from and a few other little bits and pieces. But it's a good tool, and it usually does no queue. Web page test is also a good tool, but depending on what server you use, you could be waiting in a queue for a while. And then you've got to understand how to read the reports and figure out what to fix. Very good tools. Mod page speed, actually, it's funny you're talking about this, but I think that if anything, if people can do anything, rather than actually go to try and use these tools, if they can install mod page speed on their server, which you wouldn't be able to do in shared hosting, but if you have your own VPS or your own physical box, you could install mod page speed, and it's a really great tool. I have to say, my hat's off to Google on creating that and releasing that. That's a really super tool. And it automates everything. You don't need to do anything. It's more or less out of the box. You'll see probably a speed up on your site, an exponential speed up on your site, and if you know how to actually configure it properly, you can squeeze more out of it as well.
Yeah. I actually installed mod page speed on one of our servers today, but so far all I've discovered is that it does insert a header on each of the sites. I haven't been game to go any further.
Yeah, you may also have to wait for the cache to warm up. So you have to give it a little bit of time for the cache to warm up. But once the cache warms up, and if you get the configuration right, configuration of the box should be pretty good. But if you get the configuration right, and you start to do critical path stuff, you know, where it's actually loading the critical path to your CSS in the HTML, you'll see your pages they'll just fly. You'll feel like you're just one of these big companies with, you know, huge resources behind you to fire things out. It really is a great tool.
Okay, that's cool. I'm very greatly encouraged by that. The other link I should have put there was the page speed service that Google provides, where they actually host your. Well, do they actually host it? It's directed through them anyway. Yeah, they actually probably host it.
I think they're a proxy. A reverse proxy is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. We actually use that. I don't use it. It's only one site that I use it for still. But you know, one thing I was amazed was the amount of support and the readiness of those guys on that particular team to respond. And it's free. And it works too.
I wonder, was it free at all levels? Was there an upsell?
There will be. There will be an upsell because some emails used to come out saying, "Look, pay no attention to the amount mentioned here. You know, these don't apply now."
Like if you think about it, once you direct all your traffic into them, that's great, and they're serving your content really fast, and then you hit up against some sort of level where they want you to start paying. You know, they sort of got you as a captive customer there, because if you don't know what you're doing, you've got to figure out how to redirect your traffic back to your own server. And yeah, it's a nice one. I'm sure it's quite an easy upsell once they have you captured there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on from SEO tools, and we're now into our weekly news roundup. Each week, during the week, we add items of interest to the SEO news community on Google+. And after we've answered all of our questions and talked about tools and analytics, we'll talk about what is news. And news could be an article. But look, here is a really special article. It came about because SEMrush published an article about why Budweiser doesn't rank very well. And Alistair said that seemed a little odd to me. They are a massive brand. So he said, I kicked the tires for 10 minutes to see what I could find. It turns out that there are a lot of issues holding their site back. Anyway, I read the article. It's absolutely brilliant. I recommend anybody to read it. But basically, he's caught Budweiser with their pants down. Just so many newbie mistakes on the site, and Alistair, in his own inimitable style, just quietly pointed them all out. And basically, if I was working for Budweiser, I'd be running for cover right now. Did anybody else read that article?
I've seen this quite a few times with drinks companies, and even big ones. And part of the reason I think in regulated markets, and they tend not to invest online because of the regulation faced with online markets. Definitely there were lots of things these guys could fix, but you probably they're just not bothered about online. It's just not worth the trouble for some of them. So I guess I'd say that you'll see, like if you went to quite a few other brands, I'd say you'd see a lot of similar stuff, to be honest. But it was a great article, and I'd say it didn't take him only a couple of minutes to do that, by the way. I'd say it took him a while digging in, but excellent article.
Yep. All right.
You'd nearly think he's looking for a new job, wouldn't you?
Well, I hope not.
Maybe he's not so keen on working for Expedia.
Okay. Mobile-friendly websites. And this was an interview. If you're following along at home, these articles are on the SEO News community on Google+. And this was an interview that Gary Illies, Google's Gary Illies, discussed mobile as a ranking
factor. Better work on this pronunciation or he'll come and get you. He doesn't like having his name mispronounced, I'm just saying.
Say it again so I remember it.
Yes. Well, yes, actually. Now he'll come after me too.
All right. That's why I like Pierre Farr. I can't go wrong with that.
He's not coming to meet anyone. He's too busy posting all those bloody GIF images all over the place. It's a killer. I don't think he does any work, that fella.
Well, I must say, I was in Zurich at the Google office back in March, and all he seemed to do is stride around with cappuccino in his hand, you know. So he's definitely coming to get me now.
Well,
guys, I'm going to have to jump out in a minute. There seems to be some customer panic stateside.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Sas, because I was hoping to talk with you at length on that subject that we were talking about. Anyway, if we'll be around for a little while, and if yeah.
Well, it looks like I've got a burning server to deal with. This is going to be interesting. Well, you guys are going to be around for another couple of hours yet, right?
Oh, I wouldn't say a couple of hours, but certainly enough time to deal with a burning server.
Yeah, burning server on Thanksgiving. Whoa.
That's what you want. Absolutely. Okay, right, well, I'll be back as soon as I can. Catch you guys later.
Ciao.
Okay, sir. So, SEOquestions.com has mobile friendly. Well, that's a bit of a good thing. All right, moving on from Gary Illies' interview, unless anybody else has a comment. I'm going to record that as a no. Anyway, this one was this one we really should talk about because not only is it contentious, I'm sure that John Mueller said the opposite. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm sure that I heard a Googler saying the opposite to this, and I can't remember who it was. Okay, so this is was posted in the SEM post, an update on, and Barry Schwartz has posted on it as well. Update on Google not indexing legitimately hidden content on web pages. The article said everyone has been talking about the fact that any content that happens to be hidden on a page is not being indexed by Google for ranking purposes. Hiding text for legitimate purchases is nothing new. People use them for FAQ pages, so visitors can quickly see the top questions and then to view the ones that they want. So, guys, what's the comment on this?
This whole issue isn't new. It's just that it's been picked up on, so that's why it's new. I'm sure if you listen to some of the hangouts from John Mueller before, you'll hear him talking about this, that sometimes content hidden divs isn't the best content to show users. And he may not have been as explicit, but he definitely talking about this previously. But as the question on links in navigation, you can be sure that they're not ignoring the links. It's that they're ignoring content, as in paragraphs or snippets of text that's hidden from. They're not ignoring it, by the way. They are indexing it, but I'm sure that they're also just saying that this is unimportant. So again, I think people have to be careful what distinction they make. I don't think Google is saying we're not indexing this content. They're just saying that we're not going to give it as much prominence, i.e. if you search for something that's not visible on the page, we're not going to rank that page as well.
Yep. Anybody else? Nobody? All right. Moving on to the next item of general business. This is a new article on local citations from the inimitable Tim Capper. I like the way Tim writes. It's easy to follow. Tim, do you want to talk about your article? It wasn't that funny.
Yeah, but easy to follow. Am I? Which one are you talking about?
Okay, from the very first line, you said a local citation is a reference to your business from another online source. You know,
right.
You would have to be a numpty not to get that.
Yeah. Well, no, the only reason I published this again was because there was just a lot of things popping up in forums recently, and people going on about, what is it, and how do I get one, and so this was just a basic thing, clearly sort of marking out how to go about it, starting off with the basic relevant business directories, and then obviously where you can get others, and so yeah, just short, sweet. It was just a reminder, and I'll try to make it as easy to read as possible. It's nothing in depth there, but people are asking again, so it was time to refresh.
Sure. Did anybody else read Tim's article? Okay. Let's move on to. No, we can't move on. That's the end. All right. Sash is not going to be happy, is he? All right, guys, we're at the end, and look, I'd like to thank you for your tolerance with the software we're trialing at the moment. We'll get there, I guess. I don't usually mind things with a bit rough around the edges, but I must say that today we really I really thought it was going to run a lot better than it did. Maybe we should have some test runs. I feel sorry for poor old Sash. He came to talk about one thing, and before we got to it, he had to go. Everybody's quiet.
What do you want us to say? We'll say something, Jim, if you like.
Well, we should have spent more time on Tim's article.
I'm reading it at the moment. I can't understand a word of it.
I think that was probably, even though it's short and sweet, that was probably one of the freaking longest articles ever taken me to write. Purely because I thought I had 40 minutes last night, and next minute, email, phone call, email, phone call. It was the longest. I think I started that at 6, and I only published it at like almost midnight. It's ridiculous.
Why didn't you make any of the URLs clickable? Why didn't you put them in as links?
You know, because I have actually got the. As I said, this was a rewrite, and I have got all those URLs clickable in some other pages, and I was just thinking, fucking hell, these people are going to be getting like links out of me. Like,
no, you should just link out, no problem. Just link out, open a new window. It'd be much more useful, I'd say, to, like, if I was using, like, I'd say this would be useful to, like, building local citations isn't easy, so just having a place where I can click on the link. Even better if you link me to their
sign up page. Yeah. Actually, that is a good. Yeah, actually, that is a very logical suggestion.
It'd be more useful, and like, I mean, let me put it this way: if you link out to those 14 or 20 odd sites, okay, if that helps you to get an extra 1 or 2 links to your article, it's more than paid for itself.
Yeah.
A couple of links these days is like gold dust. And linking out, you're not going to do much harm anyway, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good article, though. It's not easy to do this stuff.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, and I've actually got to put that in there because obviously I've recently moved. So I was in East Northants, now I'm in Northants, so I'm changing over Chamber of Commerce. So actually in there I've mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, and I can actually put in the membership fees now, because obviously I've had to change all of those details, so I can actually add that in today.
No, seriously, I took the piss out of Tim earlier. That doing these how-to things is a killer. I do them occasionally on writing for SEO, but it's, yeah, by the time you've done some screen captures and made sure they're all consistent and they're at the right stage of the story, yeah, they can take days on and off to get right. And it always makes me laugh when you see, you know, how-to articles written in native English, turned around in 2 days, $11 each.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they're always ISO accredited, so you know it's going to be good.
Right, who wants to look at some schema here?
Ooh.
Anyone? I've got an error showing, and I only added in one frickin' line. Well, no, I had to swap a few lines around.
I'll tell you, by the way, if you get into the schema stuff, take a look at JSON LD. It abstracts away the whole markup, where you have to mark up around the content within your HTML, and you just actually put all your schema data into JSON, and it's just in a script tag. So Google, they're not really supporting it yet, and I asked John Mueller about this, and he was saying about, they don't like to support stuff that isn't visible on the page. But if you look at that JSON LD and see how it's done, that's the future, because it's so much easier for people to output stuff in tags on their page as opposed to having to mark up around their HTML. It's so simple, and I hope that they start to support more of it, because it's going to make a huge change to machine readable web pages, in my view, anyway.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass, man.
JSON LD is so much easier. Like I say, they support something like 3 or 4 different schemas, Google do. I think it's contact, business, event, and music. So if you're using any of those, definitely look at JSON LD. It's so much easier to mark it up. It's compared to doing it in your HTML.
Have you noticed? I don't know what. Actually, I don't even know what. I should find out what platform this is. But I quickly, someone said to me, "Oh, can you add some local schema to this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, yeah." So send me the login. I don't know what platform it was, but normal HTML markup like I normally do, and this fucking killed the whole. Oh, sorry, Jim. We're still live, but it killed everything. It was just like, okay, delete. It was just, man.
That's because you'll probably find that their style sheet is applying styles based on hierarchy of HTML elements, and that's why it's probably breaking. So, and this is what I mean about something like JSON LD. You can put it in, and it's not going to impact your page in any way. It's much more streamlined,
Yeah.
No, nothing else happened this week.
It's a quiet week, eh? Not much to discuss. We can't even fight with Sash. He's gone away.
Everybody's rushing to get everything ready for Christmas, or at least I am anyway. We've usually got most of our work locked away by now, but no time to get up to any mischief.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave you then. I'm going to go and earn a book.
Yeah, fair enough, Richard. Thank you very much for your contribution tonight.
Okay, cheerio, guys.
Cheers.
See ya. Excuse me. Oh, I'm still making noises.
Yes, thank you, William Rock. I'm aware there's silence.
Right, William, you can have a look at this.
I'm just giving you a hard time, guys. It's It's Thursday, and my kids are starting to wake up now too. So.
Ah, little bastards, knock them out.
I know. I tell you, they come out and they want food instantly, right?
Oh no, you got to feed them, clothe them.
So, Jim, you mentioned holiday shopping. There's a lot of stuff preparation that we can probably talk for SEO on that one. I mean, have you been doing a lot with your site as far as getting prep for making sure credit card processing's working right, all those little checkpoint balances done?
No, I've written off this Christmas season, and I'm getting feedback from somebody. But yeah, I've just written off those sites, and in the new year, Andy and I will do a proper job. But I could have done a little bit, I guess, to do something for Christmas, but I felt it was better to get everything else locked away and do that as a whole new job.
I agree. I mean, basically, your site's already been there in existence for a long time, so you've already gotten a lot of those checks and balances already dialed in. So that part kind of autopilot. Good to know. I didn't know that you got some other cool project coming underway. It's exciting.
Yeah, the ShopSafe sites are really bad, really crap at the moment, and I'm trying to think of a way for us to reinvent ourselves, but I haven't thought of it yet. Yeah, but certainly we'll be doing the basic mechanicals first thing in the new year.
Fantastic. No, that's good to know. No, I know that I've actually got my own projects that I don't spend half the time I need to actually spend on them because I'm always working on everything else. So I believe for this new year I'm going to have a couple projects come out as well. But right now I'm just kind of focused on everybody's PPC campaigns and making sure they're all dialed and running and conversion costs are low and tools are working and everything is functional with remarketing and so on and so.
Right. Did you know that the SEOquestions.com website is 50% up on the same period last year?
I should hope so. You've got an entire year's worth of content on there now. It's all about the content, Jim. Yeah, but I know what you mean. I mean, just trying to squeeze time in for your own projects. It's just, it's tiring. I've got 3 sites of my own to sort out because next year I want to start making some decent AdSense. But yeah, we live in hope.
I'm not sure that Google's paying the same percentages they used to pay with AdSense.
No, they're not. But
well, there's somebody. Oh no, I'm not. No, I won't say that.
Mind you, I was playing around. Google's got their own AdSense plugin, which I came across the other day for WordPress. Very sweet, actually. Very, very nice plugin. I like it. It's not like other plugins where it's kind of like a responsive plugin. So like normal ad, well, the one I replace it with is, you basically kind of pick your ad format and then you position it and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the Google AdSense plugin, it reads your pages, kind of almost like in Webmaster Tools. It's kind of like got the same interface in Webmaster Tools with the data markup tool, and then it all of a sudden shows your page, but superimposed over it, it's got like 50 or 60 different options with these little markers, and you can actually say, oh yeah, no, that's where I want my ad to be, that's where I want that ad to be, and then it provides you with suggestions, and it's like a responsive AdSense tool. I dig it. I'm giving it a try. I'm going to see, obviously it's trial, see if this month's versus next month or the same monthly period, if it actually gives me any more, if it gives me any more, click-throughs. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yep.
Yeah, funny dogs.
Hey, Tim. I think basically, Tim, you need to actually start up a dog site. Start making some videos of funny animals and having everybody actually. Just kidding.
I just about topped myself. Make videos and like, yeah, I suppose, I don't know, fuck it. It's always the weird ones that, like, all of a sudden somebody posts a bloody picture of a dog falling down the stairs and then jumping over a kid's head or something, and next minute they've just made like $5,000 off the freaking video. It's ridiculous.
You should read some of those e-books they offer on the internet, Tim.
Okay, Rob. Yeah, I'll go.
I'm going to tear up soon after all this laughing, you guys. This is hilarious. Fun. Very fun. Yes, I think I'm in the wrong industry.
Right, Mr.
Yeah.
Like there haven't been a few of those.
That's your next video, Tim, is you have to actually create a rank #1 video. I actually put one out of a turkey picture out there. People actually commented they were going to sell me some links, but it was actually really focused around penguin. And it was kind of hilarious that other people were commenting in that, doesn't that person realize that they didn't read? Sorry. I'm sorry, drifting.
Yeah.
Must why are you lifting all my feet?
Oh, you saw that one, yeah.
Hmm.
It was cute. Wait until you see my next batch of 25 days of Google Cole.
Actually, that's a good plan. Oh no, David's doing work. He's just, I thought I could ignore it. You're going to make me fix this, aren't you, David?
Some people do say ignore it. There's loads of posts around this internet thing we use that say forget it. If you take the view that if Google are flagging it up, they are probably doing something with it. So there you are. You can suffer.
Well, how's about looking at it for me?
I don't know. I've never had this error.
It was quite simple. I just moved 2 lines.
Show us the line. What site are they on?
On mine.
Online ownership?
Yeah, let me... Okay.
Excuse me.
I must say that, Tim, you've obviously mistaken us for people who care.
You must. Actually, look here, let me...
Very good dumb SEO questions. We're doing internal dumb SEO questions.
Okay, so, right, this was the original that was on there, right? Now, at some point, and I don't know why, the actual name of the site wasn't in the footer. Do you know what I mean? As the local business.
Yeah.
So all I've done is put that one in the right place. Well, that one stayed obviously there, and that one had to move down there because I had to put the name above it over there to fall under the local business name. Right?
Does it have to be? Does it have to be strong? You know, like, I mean, if you take out strong, does it error go away?
I put it in there because it wasn't freaking showing up without it. Hang on, let me.
Take out the strong and give the div a class to make it strong. Would that fix it?
Am I sharing this page? Did I just...
Yes.
Oh, okay, no, you're still on that one. I was just thinking, hang on a second, I'm adding in my freaking password into my login here. And, yeah.
Mr. Taki?
Hang on a second. No, I've even changed that since. Sorry, let me just copy what I've got in now because I did change that actually. Sorry, Jim. This is actually what I've got in now. This is the one I've got in. I did actually change that because...
Yeah.
Because that div was killing it. So that's actually what I got in there now. But now I'm getting this silly.
Still has an error.
Yeah, it's not actually an error. It's just a little H atom something freaking error in the rich snippet testing tool. Here we go. What page am I sharing? Don't know what page. Let me swap pages. There we go. I'm just getting that now.
Mr. Taki has a comment in the chat there for you, Tim.
Oh, okie dokie. Let me go. Line 84 on the home. Ooh. Ooh, I have no idea, mate. I shall have a little look.
Yes, Rob, I think it's a good thing. If you're still, I was sort of hanging around for Stash to come back, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. If you're still watching, thank you very much. It's your participation that makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do it all again. Thanks very much.